Greetings to everyone out there in the No DQ galaxy. Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for November 1st, 2019. And there is a lot to talk about coming off Crown Jewel. This has been one of the craziest news days that I could remember in a very long time. Ken, terminated by Google, just sent in a $5 super chat. He says, Rift, saying ain't so. The super chat title is dead. Please say you are ribbing us, Rift. It is true. No more super chat title. However, you guys can still send in super chats. Thank you for that, Ken. There is plenty to talk about here, but the super chat title, we can forget about that for now. Noah Foster with a $5 super chat says, just support No DQ. We are NXT. Best SmackDown show I've seen this year. Well, I will be talking about SmackDown and giving my thoughts, but first of all, let's set the stage for what happened tonight. Coming off Crown Jewel, WWE stars were set to return to the United States. Now, it was stupid for WWE in the first place to book this SmackDown literally the day after Crown Jewel. What WWE should have done in advance was maybe have an all-women's edition of SmackDown or do something. Like cutting it this close was not the best idea to begin with, but I guess they were not expecting a problem like this, which was apparently a mechanical issue that led to the flight going back to the United States being delayed. Tony H with the $2 super chat says that main event was an all-timer. I agree with you, Tony H. I definitely I agree with what you said there about the main event. Power Packers 90 with a $5 super chat says Triple H and his powerful army, they cannot... Wait a minute. These comments are moving so quick here. They can't even beat his own words, Pissant Company t-shirt, using my $5 to create the unofficial championship. Okay, well, Power Packers 90 is making an unofficial championship, whatever you guys want to call that, if you want to try to make something new here. Like I said last night, I'm open to ideas as far as a super chat gimmick goes. You guys want to leave me some feedback? I'm all ears. But thank you for that, Power Packers. Now, what's interesting is that a second charter plane was brought in. However, there was apparently another delay, and the stars that we thought were going to be on SmackDown, the top stars, Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, Kofi Kingston, and so on, were still unable to get back in time for SmackDown. Now, I believe Kofi, as I'm doing this video, just posted on social media that he is back in the United States. But yeah, they just barely missed making it back in time for SmackDown. So WWE had to come up with something. They had to change plans for pretty much the entire show last minute. They did have a few women's matches that they had at their leisure to put on. You had Bayley versus Nikki Cross, which was set up a few weeks ago, and I'm not sure when that was scheduled to take place, but WWE had that match ready to go. They had Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville in a tag team match against what was supposed to be Carmella and Dana Brooke, but we had something happen here. We had something go down. Cindy with a $2 super chat says, it's 2010 all over again, just without the natural disaster. And also 2015, remember that snowstorm that forced WWE to do a studio show. This was a different scenario because WWE had some talents available. What's funny is, with the exception of Brock Lesnar, who my guess is when his match with Kane was done, Brock was on his own private jet heading back to the United States. So a few people got back to the U.S., and Brock was one that got back in time to be on SmackDown, and he did, in fact, kick off the show. So let's go ahead and get started with the recap. Brock Lesnar came out with Paul Heyman. Michael Cole and Corey Graves did not make it back in time, so they were replaced by Tom Phillips, Renee Young, and Aiden English, at least in the beginning part of the show. Paul Heyman did the promo for Brock Lesnar and said that Brock, despite conquering Cain Velasquez at Crown Jewel, is pissed off. Heyman proceeded to show the entire Brock Lesnar Cain Velasquez match from Crown Jewel. That's how short it was, and also the fact that WWE needed to fill time. They showed the entire match from the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, which was only 2 minutes. Lesnar, of course, picked up the victory in the match. However, that's not the problem as far as Paul Heyman is concerned. Paul Heyman then showed the aftermath of that, which is where you had Rey Mysterio attack Brock Lesnar with a steel chair and ruined Brock's most orgasmic moment of his career. So then Paul Heyman said that him and Lesnar went to Vince McMahon, and if you don't know who Vince is, he said, Google it, bitches. He said that Vince told him that Brock could not have Rey because SmackDown has exclusive superstars and Raw has exclusive superstars. Rey Mysterio is exclusive to Monday Night Raw and cannot be served to Brock. So Heyman then proceeded to announce that Brock Lesnar has quit SmackDown in order to go to Monday Night Raw and get his hands on Rey Mysterio. And Heyman said, who's going to stop Brock? If they try to stop Brock, then they're going to sue WWE. So there you have it. Brock Lesnar, which this whole thing is really strange because all the reports were that Fox wanted Brock on SmackDown. So is this going to be a temporary thing? Are we going to have some kind of legal storyline where Fox orders Brock back to SmackDown and this is just going to be a one-time thing? I'm not sure where this is going to go, if Brock's going to be permanently on Raw again or not, but it was definitely intriguing. We had Brock and Heyman go to the backstage area. They stormed off, and then the camera cut over to Triple H and Shawn Michaels. HBK wearing the NXT hat, and this was setting the tone for the rest of the evening. We had the first match. We had Bayley versus Nikki Cross. As I mentioned earlier, this was something that was already set up. I don't think it was announced for this show, but WWE had it ready to go. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, how would you change the look of the Universal title? I'm fine with it, I suppose. I would rather just see one championship, but I say that all the time. I'm fine with how it looks right now. You know, have the Universal title red, SmackDown title blue, whatever. I mean, I'm fine with it. Anyways, we had Bayley and Nikki. Sasha was there at ringside. She got involved several times in the match. Bayley hit her flying elbow, but Nikki kicked out. Fans were actually chanting for Bayley, even though she's a heel. There were a couple of great signs that I do need to mention. There was one sign where the fan wrote, "My other sign got delayed in Saudi Arabia." Love it. Great sign. And then we had another sign. I forgot what it said exactly, but somebody actually dressed up as a Bayley, one of those inflatable Bayley buddies. And the sign said, "Please don't hurt me," or something like that. Another great sign. Buffalo was a really hot crowd tonight. And even for the guys that you would think that they might not react to because they're NXT, Buffalo definitely was up to speed with things. And that helped the show for sure. Now, we had the referee distracted, and Sasha Banks pushed Nikki Cross off the top rope, and then Bayley proceeded to hit her new finishing move, which is not the Bayley to belly, to pick up the victory. And then all of a sudden, as Bayley is celebrating, we have Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion, show up, blindside Sasha Banks, and then get in the ring and lay out the SmackDown Women's Champion, Bayley. Crowd was going crazy for this, chanting NXT. The invasion was on. Then we had Pat McAfee fill in for Aiden English. Oh, by the way, Big G said he popped for Shayna Baszler. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, Big G, I'm sure, was just going crazy in his living room with Shayna Baszler appearing on SmackDown. He popped for sure, if you know what I mean. So we had Sami Zayn interviewed backstage, talked about how it's a pretty weird night, and he seems to think that NXT is there to try and take advantage of SmackDown due to many of the roster members still on the way back from Saudi Arabia. And he had a warning for NXT. He said, watch where they stick their nose, because if one of them steps up to him, and before Sami could even finish his sentence, we had Keith Lee and Matt Riddle show up. Sami all of a sudden started praising them, said he had an NXT shirt on, but when he took off his jacket, it was just a plain black shirt. He had to explain that he was wearing his shirt in his car, but he had some food and he didn't want to spill the food on the shirt, so he took it off. He said he's going to go back to his car and get the shirt. He started to walk away, and Keith Lee and Matt Riddle were following him, and then he started walking faster. They walked faster, and then he started running away. He ran out into the arena. Matt Riddle eventually caught him, and then the two beat the crap out of Sami Zayn, and Keith Lee did the moonsault off the middle rope. Crowd again was chanting NXT, and I loved it. Sami Zayn did a great job here. Keith Lee and Matt Riddle looked like major stars their first night on the main roster. This was awesome. Funny segment, and Matt Riddle and Keith Lee, if WWE doesn't screw these guys up, they should be huge stars in WWE. I mean, they both looked great here. Everything about this was awesome. We had some highlights from Crown Jewel shown with the Tyson Fury-Braun Strowman match. Braun Strowman, another guy who could not make it back into the United States in time for the show. The game is on 100 with a $2 super chat says, so basically SmackDown put over NXT tonight to build up to Survivor Series. Pretty much that's what it was. We had The Miz come out. He was wearing his Buffalo is Awesome t-shirt, which of course is really cringy considering how awesome The Miz was as a heel, and now he's pandering to the fans. Miz showed a recap of the Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins match, which was what the original plan was for Miz TV, was for Bray Wyatt to be on Miz TV. However, Bray was not there either. So the Miz decided to address the elephant in the room. And then all of a sudden, we had Tommaso Ciampa come out. He came in there and he was the new guest for Miz TV. And then he asked The Miz, this is supposed to be must-see TV? Ciampa said he is the greatest sports entertainer of all time. He said it's time to give The Miz a reality check. And he said that The Miz is everything that is wrong with Raw and SmackDown, because he has literally been breaking his neck while The Miz has been playing actor on SmackDown. He says The Miz may play the part, but he is the part. Miz then responded by saying that people have been saying this about him for the past 15 years. And then Miz said, well, if Ciampa wants to fight, they could fight right there in the ring on SmackDown. And Ciampa accepted the match. We had Ciampa versus The Miz, and Ciampa beat The Miz clean with the fairy tale ending. I love the promo from Ciampa. He did a great job. Match was entertaining. Again, great stuff here to help build up to Survivor Series and keep the invasion going. I'll talk about it here in a few minutes, but this is how you do an invasion show. And this reminded me of a couple of shows in wrestling history. One that was really good and one that was not so good. So I'll let you guys talk about it in the chat room and let me know what you think I'm referring to. The really good show and the really bad show. I'm curious to see if you guys can know what I'm talking about here or make a good guess at it. But yeah, think about wrestling history over the past 20 so years. What was a really good invasion show and what was a really bad invasion show? Looking at the comments already, OG Crushes says the WCW invasion wasn't the good show. Brando the Gaming Championship, NWO. Mike B says WCW bad. Yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of comments here. You guys got to go back for the really good show, though. I mean, there were some good ones, but I'm talking about like a show from start to finish where I'm like, this was a good invasion show. I'll tell you guys here in a few minutes my picks as the really good one and the really bad one. Anyways, let's move on here. So we had a backstage segment with Daniel Bryan wanting to know why Shawn Michaels and Triple H were there. Triple H talked about how, well, there was an ad for Survivor Series, WWE Raw versus WWE Smackdown versus NXT. And Triple H is like, well, looks like somebody's been calling out NXT for a fight. Bryan said that he's looking for a fight and then suggested him versus Triple H. Now, Triple H said that he did not have his ring gear. And as he was saying this, Shawn Michaels, Shawn starts taking off his NXT jacket as if he's going to accept the challenge, but then says, hey, it's cold in here. And then he puts back on his jacket. Shawn, you son of a bitch. That was trolling. I mean, that was the best Shawn Michaels troll job since 2005 when he pretended that Bret Hart was going to come out there and face him. Had Bret Hart's music playing and everything. You got me, Shawn. You got me. But anyways, we ended up having Adam Cole show up to be the guy to face Daniel Bryan. But Bryan wanted to up the ante. He wanted the NXT Championship on the line, to which Triple H agreed. And that was set up as the main event of the show. Next up, we had Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville against what was supposed to be Carmella and Dana Brooke. However, we had Bianca Belair backstage beating the crap out of both Carmella and Dana Brooke. And then we had Tegan Nox and Rhea Ripley come out to replace Carmella and Dana. They ended up defeating Fire and Desire. Rhea tapped out Mandy Rose. So the women of NXT also got showcased here and got to shine. Then we had the main event segment. Triple H and Shawn Michaels came out. And then we had Stephanie McMahon come out. Like, part of me wants to pull this rating I have down for NXT, but I'm not going to do it. But did we really need Stephanie on this show? I'll overlook it this one time, but oh man, why did we have to have Stephanie on here? So Stephanie came on and basically just wanted to bring up the women's revolution, and she had the footage shown from Saudi Arabia, Natalya versus Lacey Evans. I would have been fine with them just showing the footage. I don't think we needed Stephanie on here, so boo Stephanie, but I won't let it downgrade my overall rating for the show. I usually would. Like, usually the letter grade goes down for the show if Stephanie's on it, but I won't do it this time. We had the main event, Adam Cole, baby, versus Daniel Bryan. Roderick Strong came out with Cole for his entrance and then walked to the back. Daniel Bryan was being very aggressive. He was slapping Cole. He was yelling at him, do you want to be a champion? He still wasn't doing the yes chant, so I guess that storyline will continue. Bryan went for the running knee, but then Cole countered, hit the destroyer, and then hit the last shot to pin Daniel Bryan clean. We had the NXT roster come out to celebrate with Cole, and then Triple H cut a promo. Triple H basically referenced his promo from the night after WrestleMania 14, for those of you that remember when he brought back X-Pac. He said that, you want a war? He said, when there's a war, you gotta look to your friends. You gotta build an army. And that's when Triple H said that NXT has fired the first shot for Survivor Series and did the whole "We Are NXT" to close off the promo. Great promo from Triple H. Love the throwback to the DX Army promo from the night after WrestleMania 14. Just an amazing show. I was fully invested in it from start to finish. There's an old saying from Vince McMahon about turning a negative into a positive, and I did tweet about this earlier today. I was really hoping WWE would take advantage of a bad situation and go all out and do something very memorable. Now, last night at Crown Jewel, WWE did the video package, and we were all speculating about it today that maybe WWE would use this as an opportunity for an NXT invasion, for the NXT stars to come in. It makes logical sense. And here's what I was referencing earlier. So in 1996, the NWO was getting really hot in the storyline with WCW. And they did this show where several WCW main event guys were not there because they had commitments in Japan, and WCW was hyping this up. They even took out an ad in USA Today or something like that where the NWO was stating when the big boys are away, the NWO will play. And that's when the NWO basically invaded Nitro and destroyed everybody. They took out Randy Savage. That's the show where Virgil came out as Vince, made his debut. They took over the announce booth, and the NWO just completely was in control of Nitro. This was like September 1996, early October, somewhere around there. But that's what made the NWO work, because the NWO came in and they dominated. They beat the crap out of the WCW guys. They were in full control. And this is what we had on this show. You had NXT come in and they dominated. They won all their matches. They beat up all the Smackdown guys that were there, and Roman wasn't there. They took advantage of the situation. So this is how you do an invasion storyline. And of course, the bad one was WCW in 2001, Tacoma Dome, when you do Booker T versus Buff Bagwell, and you have them getting beat up by the WWE guys, and DDP getting beat up by The Undertaker his first night in. That's what you got to do for an invasion. You got to have the invaders actually look strong, and this was perfect. The NXT guys looked great, and they were seen as credible threats to the main roster guys. And you can make this into a storyline now where NXT is coming in and they're going to take the spots of the top guys. So the WWE main roster guys, Raw, SmackDown, they got to fight now against these NXT guys who are a real threat to their spots. So if done right, this can be an amazing storyline. Now, will WWE drop the ball on this? The thing about this show is that it was thrown together last minute because of the Saudi Arabia situation. And these guys went out there with little scripts. They just went out there and spoke from the heart. And it was great. The promos were great. The wrestling was great. The storytelling was great. You built up Survivor Series. You got people interested in the pay-per-view. You got people interested in NXT now. And with the numbers being way down, you needed to do something to get people interested in NXT. You needed to get people interested in SmackDown, because last week you had the lowest viewership in SmackDown history on FS1. You needed some buzz here to get people talking. So with WWE in a somewhat desperate situation with the numbers hitting record lows, SmackDown at its record low, NXT at its record low, the Saudi Arabia flight delay, WWE just decided to go with it, do the invasion, and it was amazing. Total home run show. And like I've been saying on the Wednesday night reviews, when it comes to the letter grade, I gotta save the top letter grade, an A+ for truly memorable historic shows, and this was one of them. So I am giving an A+ to this week's SmackDown. Not just the best SmackDown of the year, one of the best SmackDown episodes of all time. This is one that people will remember for years. Hopefully positive in the long run, because I feel like people will be disappointed if this storyline goes to crap and WWE drops the ball with everything, which they very well might. But at least for this night, there's hope, and it was just an extremely entertaining 2 hours of television from start to finish, and it gives people hope, if anything. So I loved it. Excellent show. CC Drink with an A, Tic Tat Tat with an A, Game is on 100 with an A, Dante Rose A+ indeed, Michael Wayne says A+, best SmackDown I've ever seen, Dr. Scorpio with an A+, Radical Velocity with an A, J-Spin 401 with an A, Mike D with an A, W Glass 90 with an A, Macaroni Tony with a B, and Wrestling Superstar 83 with an A++, and Adam says A+ and one of the best SmackDowns in years, and Caitlin also gives it an A. And yeah, the Nexus, the thing about so people were bringing up Nexus earlier. The Nexus angle was at the end of what was a terrible Raw. This was a show that was great from start to finish, so they are different. But yeah, I remember that Raw where Nexus came out at the end. I was like, this Raw is terrible. And then all of a sudden Nexus come in and I'm like, holy crap. So that was a little bit different. This was a show from start to finish that I was completely invested in. And I'm curious to see where they go with it. And I'm planning to tune in to watch. And that's ultimately what WWE needs to accomplish with their television product. And yeah, I'm feeling that this was probably Triple H and not Vince that put this show together, as people were speculating in the chat room. So yeah, great stuff here. And like I said, it's been a crazy 24 hours. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed my thoughts, please click on that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. If you've been a fan for a while and you would like to support the site, please spread the word. And also, you can buy a shirt, nodq.com/merch. We also have hats on there and hoodies and other merchandise. So check it out, nodq.com/shirts. Thank you all again. And Mike D with a $2 super chat says, 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen at Survivor Series? There has been a rumor about there being another War Games match, and I don't know if that's happening, but yeah, I would love to see that. I'd love to see the 4 horsewomen get together, but then again, it's Raw versus SmackDown, but would they put their differences aside to face NXT? Like, if NXT becomes that much of a threat, then you could certainly justify doing that match. So we'll see. Again, there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of interesting things WWE can do with this pay-per-view. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, so on that note, I will go ahead and sign off. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned again to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and I will see you all next time.